Hello, everybody. I'm Terrio Jenkins. I am the writer and creator of Favorite of Athena, and this is my first episode to my Save the Cat Writes a Comic series. So I'm very excited. I've been trying to kind of get this ball rolling since last December, and I think I finally came up with a format. So before we get into everything, I just want to say thank you to all my patrons on Patreon. They are making this possible for me to do. And the way this is going to be set up is I'm going to write a blog focusing on the different elements from Save the Cat. This is a methodology that was created by Blake Snyder. It covers the 15 beats, usually 40 scenes when you talk film, but it's been adapted into novels by Jessica Brody, the author of Save the Cat, writes a novel, and they have a whole bunch of other products, but they don't have one for comic books and graphic novels and manga. And I feel like this is the place for you to learn the Save the Cat methodology as it applies to comics. It's what I'm using for Favorite of Athena. It's what I'm going to be using for my upcoming comic book projects. So again, I'm very excited and I'm glad that you guys are along for the ride. With that being said, I will write a free blog on my Terrio Jenkins LLC site. This is www.terriojenkinsllc.com. And it will also be posted in the Favor of Athena webpage, which is favorofathena.com. But the behind the scenes aspect of how I apply that particular beat will be an exclusive reward for my $45 Patreons on Patreon. So yeah, so it's going to be free. The blog post is going to be free. This video obviously is going to be free, but as far as how I apply it to Favor of Athena, that's an exclusive reward for the $45 tier. Yeah. So with that being said, let's get into this first episode. So I want to concentrate this episode on the first beat, which is the opening image. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're supposed to cover before we get here, but I just happen to be in the mood to write about the open image. So here we are. As far as coming up with the characters, coming up with our log lines and all that good stuff, I will make videos for those. But today, I was motivated to do this one, so let's get into it. So the opening image, the opening image is a beat that takes a look at the protagonist's life as it is right now. In the Save the Cat methodology, this is the opposite of the last beat of a movie, novel, or comic that is called the closing image. They're always complete opposites. So wherever the character starts off with in the opening image, they should be in the exact opposite, in most cases, in the closing image. In this scene, you as the writer establish the feel and tone of the story. If you're writing a comedy, it should be a funny scene. If it's a drama, it should open with something dramatic. A mystery should open with a mystery. The point is that you are allowing the reader to know which character they are going to follow and what kind of story they're about to hitch a ride on. And as you'll see in our example later on, sometimes they may not be the protagonist, but the general ride of, or the journey of the story should be the main focus. It should be something that grips the reader. And let's My camera's acting up. All right. So the point is, so I already went over the point. The scene should be active. It explores one of the many flaws or problems your protagonist has. Remember, the whole point of the scene is to show, not tell, what is going on in the life of the protagonist. Other names used for this beat are the flashbang opening and exposition. I don't really hear exposition all that much anymore, especially in terms of film and novels. Um, we try to be more active, and exposition usually entails a lot of talking, unless that exposition is dialogue. Again, this should grab your reader's eyes. You only get a few pages to hook them into your story, and it starts with your opening. So let's look at an example from comics and manga. I will not be using single issues when it comes to mainstream comics produced by Marvel, DC, Image Comics, and Dark Horse. I will be using their trade paperbacks, as the single issues are collected into one cohesive story. And today we'll be using the crossover is called X-Men The Mutant Massacre. Try to make sure that you guys don't get blinded. It's a 1986 crossover event by Marvel featuring the titles X-Men, X-Factor, New Mutants, Thor, Power Pack, and I believe that's it. Yeah, that's it. And those particular issues are X-Men 210, Uncanny X-Men issue 210, X-Factor issue 9, Uncanny X-Men issue 211, New Mutants issue 46, X-Factor issue 10, Thor issue 373, Power Pack issue 27, X-Men issue 212, Thor issue 374, X-Factor issue 11, and finally X-Men issue 213. Those are all the first volume. Well, Uncanny X-Men, I think, is the second volume. I can't remember, but no, I'm almost sure those are, in most cases, those are the first volumes. I have to double check the Uncanny X-Men and the X-Men. These were all collected into a trade paperback called X-Men Mutant Massacre. The main writers were Chris Claremont, who wrote Uncanny X-Men and New Mutants, Louise Simonson, who wrote X-Factor and Power Pack, and Walter Simonson, who wrote Thor. So the opening image is a 2-panel page. For those of you that know what panels are the frames that are in the cover of a page. You read Sunday papers, it's each individual picture. So there's 2 pictures on this one page. The first panel is a shot of a Los Angeles train yard. The second panel is of a character named Richard, who is hit with a harpoon from the back. Richard is yelling as Tommy, a female he is on the run with, watches on. The page creates a sense of urgency. Why is Richard being targeted? Who is targeting Richard? Over the next 2 pages, the attackers, calling themselves the Marauders, kill him and start following Tommy, and she is unaware of it. The reader most readers are most likely going to be X-Men fans, but even for a new reader, this is enough to build suspense. It tells the reader that this is going to be a balanced story, even by comic book superhero levels. These killers mean business. I mean, a harpoon to the back, and it's almost gutting out the Richard's chest. So, and it was energized. What about our protagonists? I said earlier, you're supposed to show what the protagonist is, but in this case, we're talking about the X-Men. So our protagonist is a team of protagonists, and they're all at different walks. We'll go over that in the next couple beats, the theme stated and the setup. But as far as the opening image goes, this still works because, again, you're picking up X-Men most likely because it's X-Men, and even if you are a new reader, you're picking it up because it's the X-Men, most likely. And you know that they're going to be involved with these killers. Um, you know, the writers, we assume that all our readers are smart. We try not to write dumb for, for our readers and our fans. And there are so many other questions that come from this scene that makes you want to read on, such as, are the killers mutant themselves? Do we have mutant on mutant crime? Are they just targeting mutants? It's clear that Tommy is a mutant. We can see like her whole appearance is she comes off as a mutant. But it's not clear if Richard really is. And despite him belonging to the Hellfire Club, a high society group that has mostly mutants in its ranks, we really don't know if Richard is a mutant or not. So there's so many questions that makes you want to read the story, especially to see how the X-Men come into the story and how, what, obviously has to happen to make them kind of like jump into the story. And so there's so many questions. And again, that's a good example of building suspense. Like we need to know what is going on. So at this point, if you read Save the Cat Writes a Novel, Jessica Brody explains that this is a single scene. In novels, this is most likely a chapter. In film, this can be about 2-3 minute scene. In comics, this could be told over pages. I would suggest no more than 4 pages total. And even with 4 pages, I think that's a little much for an opening. I guess it would depend on how intricate your opening scene is. So this scene in the Mutant Massacre was about 3 pages before we are introduced to the X-Men members who will be part of the story. So yeah, so that's the opening image, the first beat from Save the Cat. And if you would like to get more videos about the Save the Cat methodology as it applies to comic books, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the bell so you can be notified of new videos, and give me a like. It, as you hear from everybody else on YouTube, it helps my channel grow and puts us in the algorithm. So I would really appreciate it. If you would like to see how I apply the opening image beat to Favor of Athena, please head over to my Patreon, which you can find at patreon.com, Favor of Athena, or you can head over to my webpage, favorofathena.com, and you click on the Patreon links. You can also reach it by going to TerrellJenkinsLLC.com, which is my comic book and cartoon publishing company. So with that being said, I look forward to seeing you on the Patreon if you want to see how it applies to Favor of Athena. If not, it's all good. Please be sure to stop by Webtoons to read Favor of Athena for free. I usually put these up 2 to 3 months after we publish them on Patreon. And again, it's totally free. And again, feel free to join the Patreon. Join the Patreon. It's like plain, not really. That's all I got. I hope to see you guys for the next beat, which is the theme stated. Until next time, take care, be blessed, and be terrific. Bye.